What's up, y'all? Welcome to Carolina Takedown Talk, episode number 10, right? Episode number 10. I'm Ryan Mitchell, joined by Rhett Hoy. We are a podcast that is sponsored by Carolina's Mac News and Village Coaching. Head over to Village Coaching for all your recruiting needs. Tell them Ryan and Rhett sent you. And make sure you give a shout out to Carolina's Mac News with Frank Smithwick. He's doing big things in our community. Rhett, last time we talked about the 1A, 2A title contenders. I could have kept going and went 3A. Yeah. We had to stop.
We had to cut it off.
People have to work, I guess, around these days.
Yeah,
so, but let's talk 3A, 4A this time. Man. I'm really excited to talk about the 3A classification, 4A as well. We'll see. I'm going to try to convince Rhett that Inca's not going to win this year. It's going to be Central Cabarrus. We'll see.
That can happen.
We'll see if we can get some inside knowledge about that Inca lineup out of them as well. I hope you enjoy our new setup. Rhett's been working hard on it. Got clear audio, little background for you guys. We're excited for it.
Try to bring you the best content we can. We're putting a lot of time into this. Hope you guys are enjoying. We're getting a lot more feedback, which has been awesome. We really appreciate it, guys. We've been having people reach out, be like, "Hey, man, like, why wasn't I on there?" And we kind of had to go back and go, "Dang, he's right. Like, that kid is a title contender, And it's just there's so many guys in this state, and there's so many top kids that we have, and it's a great problem to have that we have so many kids that can come in and win a state title this year. We have 100%. So many guys that can come in and challenge it that it's tough to keep up with all you guys, and with weight changes and transfers and different things that's been going on and COVID and everything else, all the craziness. We may forget you, and we apologize. But thanks for listening.
Yeah, we're gonna leave kids out here or there, and you know what? If we do, just use this as motivation to prove us wrong. We're gonna get stuff wrong. Hopefully, get most right. I plan on getting most right, but just use this motivation. We're gonna preface this 3A, 4A one with we're using the NCMAT.com rankings. We're trying to promote those rankings for Coach Atwood and Coach Nelson and all those guys. They're
doing a great job and putting hard work into it.
Rankings aren't easy, so doing that, a little bit of inside information that we got, and then also just a little bit of our opinion about where people are going to go and who's the best at that weight. So, Rhett, let's kick it off, man.
Let's go, man.
Let's go.
Let's start it up. We're excited.
We're going to talk about 3A 106, right?
Go for it.
Man, I love 106 pounders, 113 pounders because they just fly around, man. Yeah. It's just exciting. And a lot of times that's where you get a lot of the youth, right? So
the young guns coming in and they can come in and like they don't have that maturity yet, that you have to come in as a 195 pounder as a freshman, that you got to be a stud to compete against a senior 195 pounder.
Like develop physically.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. I don't mean maybe maturity wise. I mean like developmentally, physically. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I can't talk today apparently. But no, it's just sometimes those guys aren't completely developed yet, and it's tough to compete at those bigger weights. But 106, 113, 120, 120, 126, you kind of start getting a little bit more into those seniors that were 106s as freshmen and sophomores, and they grew a little bit. But 106 and 113 are always the fun weight classes. You can see a kid come in as a freshman and do big things.
I think I can't remember who said this. I think it was Willie Saylor talking about the second episode of row. He said something about like 106 and 113 are kind of like your stars of the future, right? For the most part, you get a lot of insight of like, okay, these are our kids that are kind of
these kids are gonna be hammers,
And we've seen that kind of throughout our state's history, right? We still got some kids that are coming in as freshmen and bigger and doing great things as well. But I just like the youth to see like
we're not saying that
younger kids.
We're not saying the big guys can't come in as freshmen and win state titles. We're not saying you can't come in and compete. It's just you see it a lot more often down at those lower weights because they have that style that they're just going to fly around. They're just
100%.
A lot of scrambles. It's fun to watch.
So let's go 106 right here, 3A. Okay, so we got a kid from out east, West Brunswick, Kristen Zickfus. Okay, he last year got third at 3A 106. Now, is he going to stay down? He's an upperclassman, so we're not sure like where he's going to be at weight wise, right? But if he does stay down, he's probably the favorite, right? Got third last year. The two guys that were placed above him
on paper
have moved on, right?
On paper.
One's at another school at 4A 132, and one has moved up to 126. So right now on paper, he's the favorite, right? Now, we also have another couple guys. The guy he beat for third last year, a local favorite. This kid I've known since he was in fourth grade. He actually was across the hall from me when I was teaching fourth grade at his elementary school. Lazaro Vasquez, man, from North. I thought really, very highly of him as a kid when he was in fourth grade, but now when I saw him as a freshman over there for Coach Oy and Coach Knott, he really was impressive. Like, he was scrapping hard at 106. And then placed fourth last year as a junior. So is he going to go up? My guess is yes. I know he was kind of on the bigger end of the spectrum for those 106 guys last year. So probably going to see him move up. And then now Joey Brusino from Southeast Guilford.
Yeah.
Those Southeast Guilford kids for Coach Cox, like he gets them ready to go. I saw Coach Cox and a guy we're going to talk about later, Max Steele, come into the Gauntlet Wrestling Productions on like 24 hours or less notice. Kid came in and
ready to roll.
He won the match over Joshua George. I'm going to talk about that one later, but man, Coach Cox said we want that smoke. And after watching that, I'm like, Southeast Guilford won. All right, so
no doubt.
I'm not going to doubt that kid, and he's a kid on the younger end of the spectrum too. So you're going to see him kind of make bigger jumps and more of a possibility of him kind of staying down weight wise, right? So those three are kind of three returners, but I have a pick that's not any of those guys.
Yeah.
I'm going with Charleston Baglio, Central Cabarrus, right?
Of course. So, you and Central Cabarrus, man. You drive that hype train and the Cage Williams one. They're just linked up. They're same train going. You're just
last year's state tournament brought 4 guys.
Yep.
Had 4 top 4 placers, right?
Yeah.
They had a champ, a second, a third, and a fourth.
They're doing big things.
They are. And Charleston is a little brother, Jackson Baglio. He's been around the circuit this summer, wrestling everybody. He has a win over a guy I really think really highly of that I'm going to talk about at 4A 106.
Yep.
He's been around. He's going to be in the room with Marcus Jackson and his brother Jackson. This is the guy that I think you're going to see come in and kind of set the world on fire. Right, and Central Cabarrus has a kind of a track record for that, obviously with his brother Jackson and Marcus recently. Then you can go back and look at Tanner Gleaton and Keith Gleaton. Those guys, they were really, really good at the lightweights as well. So there's a track record there. Don't be surprised if you see Charleston Baglio on the top of the podium.
Yeah,
106.
I'd love to see a local guy. I'd love to see Vasquez from North Henderson.
Oh yeah, always.
I'd love to see him win it. Always. Like you said, he's a good kid, and I love Coach Oy and Coach Knock. I love what they do over there. We're a little bit of rivals with them. Over on my side of the arc. But I have a lot of respect for Coach Oy and that North Henderson program. They do it the right way. They do things well. And they bring out good kids. And so that's going to be my pick. I think if he stays down, I think he's going to be a hammer. I think he's going to be tough to deal with.
Oh yeah, it'll be tough to beat if he stays down.
Yeah. I think if he stays down, I think he'll be one of the biggest 106s.
Known him for a long time, so he'll be my personal.
And he'll be tough to beat.
Oh, for sure.
That'll be a tough one. So we'll go down to 113. I think the biggest question here is going to be is Cobble from Piedmont stays down.
Yeah, is he going to be back at 113?
Going fourth, second. Does he stay down? Or does he make the bump to 120, 126?
And I think it also depends on his teammate, right? Chip Collins.
Yeah.
If that could set it off. If Chip Collins goes 120, Cobble's going to have to go 113, 126. So I don't really know how that goes in the room. Maybe Cobble dictates that.
Right.
My guess
it could be the other way around. Yeah,
we don't know. Collins dictates that. So, so do they both move up? Do they stay down? We'll see what happens. I know Cobble actually has a little brother too that could be coming in at 106, 113. He may be a year younger though. Yeah. But does Jake Cobble stay down? I don't know. If he does, favorite.
Yeah.
That way.
100%.
Even over, I'll take him over some of the guys coming up too. Right.
Yeah. And he's a hammer. And one thing about Piedmont, dude, that black singlet they have with the red and I think it's the red writing and the blue stripe. Yeah. Is it? That's my favorite singlet in the whole state.
Oh, really?
100% my favorite singlet in the whole state. I have no clue why that colorway looks so good. That color combination, that baby blue and the red and the black, looks so good. Keep that up. Like, I love seeing that thing come out.
The thing you know about Piedmont too is their kids are solid, man.
Yeah.
Like every position, they're really well coached by Jamie Bell. They got a couple other assistant coaches there doing really well, and I honestly don't even remember a time anymore where they weren't kind of in the thick of things, where they've
been so consistent
to win state titles. So the other guy to kind of watch out for is Southwest Gopher, Ethan Lopez. He got 4th last year at 113. Again, it's a question mark if he stays there or not, but he's a guy to watch out for at 113 for sure. Yeah. And then 120, the guy, another boy here, Jackson Baglio.
Your school here. I'm gonna get you a Central Cabrera shirt. I'm gonna get you a green and yellow Viking.
Send me
Central Cabrera shirt.
I'll wear it on the show.
All right.
Every time. Now, Jackson Baglio, I knew he was good, and then I watched that Decatur match, and I know Decatur got a lot of takedowns. He was better than Baglio on his feet. There's also senior versus freshman right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Baglio's toughness on top was impressive. Yeah. And then he's been doing really well in the offseason. He went up to the Journeyman and won that, one of the Journeyman pools. He's been around, wrestling everywhere. I really think he's going to jump another level here and kind of be that state champ front runner. Yeah. Not just a kid we're talking about of, hey, he could win. I think he's going to be like, okay, this is the guy for the next 3 years, because he's just
I think so.
And so, but the question is,
where does he go?
Is going to be at one? My guess is 120. That's kind of where he's been at. He could be. He could go back down to 113, but I doubt it. I think he's going to be at 120, and Jackson's going to be Marcus Jackson's going to be above him on his team, right?
Yeah.
The other question for me though is, does Chip Collins stay here? Like he's won 2 state titles, 113, 120. He's wrestled 120 a couple times this offseason. I've seen.
So he can get down there.
So he can get down, but it's a big difference making it all those duels and then
one big cut
instead of just coming down, especially because some of those offseason terms you don't know where the weights are.
Do you think that this year, with it being a condensed season, that we're going to see a lot more kids cut because you don't have to stay down that long? Do you think that's going to come into effect at all?
Maybe, but they get the 2 pounds right away.
Yeah, right away.
So I think we're going to see a lot of kids start where they're going to finish more than we've seen in the past. Like, more than that, you don't have a lot of time to kind of ease your way down in the OPC, like in that control. So I don't know, man. I think that we're going to kind of see pretty much normal. People are going to go where they will. But if Trip Collins stays down, that's the match right there, right? Collins, Baglio.
Yeah.
Who's going to win that one? I'd be excited for that one, because I think that there's 2 hammers. I kind of hope Collins goes up, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But another guy to watch out for is 4th place at this weight last year, Richard Williams from Grays Creek. Grays Creek out east, not a powerhouse program, but Williams is really good, right? Yeah. Obviously 4th place at the state tournament, no joke. So he's a guy that's good.
Especially in a tough weight in 3A. I mean, 120 has always been a pretty good weight, you know. But we'll definitely watch out for him. So what's interesting to me, when we go to 126 and we talk about Trip Collins, Piedmont 2-time state champ, what I look at here is that either way he goes, if he goes 120, Central Cabarrus in the finals. If he goes 26, we're going to see probably the best matchup of the year with him and Marcus Jackson.
Yes. So if you're watching this trip, go 126.
That's what the fans saying, okay?
I love it when we get state champ versus state champ matches. It doesn't happen often. Just because obviously kids graduate when they win a state title, or kids are already spread out in weight. So it doesn't occur as often as I would hope for, because I love it when we see that.
Yeah.
I loved it when we saw Peyton Shuford and Jacob Grigg.
Yeah,
state
that was a big one.
A couple years ago. State champs, no one's bumping away from each other. They're going after each other and trying to,
you love to see it, man.
Trying to win their state title through the best competition possible. Another great one was Mike Williams and Marcus Blue. Back, they both went 52-60 and came down to an overtime match there.
I remember we didn't get to see that a lot until, you didn't get to see a lot of state champ stuff but I remember one of my favorite tournaments that they used to do was that Parkland tournament.
Yeah, when
that Atwood used to put on.
Yeah, invited any state champion.
Yeah, and it would be a tournament of champions, just about. And I remember there was a year that it was, I think it was Free J, Nick Key, and Parker Von Egedy.
Yeah,
and that's saying, and I was just like,
Piedmont.
Holy cow! What a bracket, But
so
that's just what I'm saying. With in 126, I think if Trips goes 120, Marcus Jackson runs through the whole tournament. I mean, he there's nobody that touches him. I don't think. No offense to anyone, but I don't see it.
I think this comes back to circling to Marcus Jackson.
Yeah.
He's only wrestled 106, right?
Yeah.
He was a runner-up at 106 2 years ago.
Yep.
And then last year won a state title at 106 with a tech fall in the finals.
Yeah.
Right? And him bumping up to 126. I know there's going to be the people that say, like, hey, he's
Big
bumping
jump
up
fast.
20 pounds. That's blah, 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 blah. If you're good, you're good.
Yeah.
And that's just how I feel. And
You're good. And if you grow from 106 to 126, then
yeah.
I don't think that's a big of a thing as going from 126 to we'll say 145.
Yeah.
I think that's a whole nother world from 106 to 126 that I think if you jump from there, if you jump from 106 to 26, then you grew, you didn't put on fat, if you jump from there's instances that you can go from 26 to 45, but it's like, okay, he didn't put on good weight there.
Yeah,
and it's just, and the bigger you get, yeah.
And I feel like I don't know. I hate that argument where people are like, well, they're 106.
Yeah, if you're good, you're good. You're going to figure it out. Yeah, exactly.
I'm hoping that both those guys go 126.
You want to see that, huh?
Okay. And I hope that they both win the region, right? I think they will.
Yeah.
And I think actually they're both the Midwest region, right?
Ooh, okay.
So we might get that in regionals, and that would separate them in the state bracket.
Yeah.
So we might get that one twice in 2 weeks.
That'd be great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I want to see that match. I'm not sure. I'm not ready to make a pick yet as far as that goes, but both great kids. So
if Collins goes 26, Collins.
You go Collins?
All day.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm not ready.
For me, I'm not going to make you. But for me, I like Collins. I love watching him wrestle. If he goes 26, I think he wins it.
Take it.
Yeah.
So 132.
Well, personally, I think either way, Collins goes 120 or 126. He's state champ this year.
You pick them both over Bagley or Jackson?
I pick him.
Not sure on that.
I'm riding the Trip Collins hype train here. Okay.
Hey, he's great. Great kid. Like I said, if you guys haven't heard his story, you need to check it out. So 132.
Loaded weight.
This is a good weight.
This is a good weight right here.
So we got Stephen Cotton from Southwest Guilford. He got third last year at 126.
Yep.
Going to be a junior. Going to be a junior. I think he's really good. Under one of the kids that kind of flew under the radar a little bit as far as I don't feel like people talk about him enough there.
Right.
And then you have Will Lewis from Western Harnett, who won this weight last year. I think we see him move up, though. I don't think he's going to be a 32-pounder again. He's got the frame to put on some size. And then we got Noah Kaiser from Central Cabarrus.
Yep.
He got fourth last year. And then Chance Cottingham from North Gaston got fifth last year. So those are kind of our contenders. Like I said, I think that Lewis is going to move to 38. Okay. I really do. He's got a frame that shows that. So I'm going to kind of focus on Stephen Cotton because I think he's kind of the front runner. So he to me got the skill set to be a state champ. He had it last year. Just tough weight there. So Stephen Cotton kind of the front runner to me. And then Noah Kaiser, fourth place, Central Cabarrus guy. Obviously, I think Central Cabarrus is going to win the team title, right? So in order to make that happen, Kaiser's a big piece of that. He's a big clog in that. So I think he's going to be up there challenging for that final spot. And then I'll tell you what, this Chance Cottingham kid, he's tough.
Yeah.
Right? He's tough. I watched him wrestle at the Gauntlet Wrestling Productions thing. And
shout out to Coach Hardy. And Coach Woodburn.
Putting that on, guys. Definitely a cool thing for the wrestling community in North Carolina. Yeah. So thanks for putting that on, Coach. But I saw him wrestle there. The cool thing about him, though, is he showed up and he was like, I'll wrestle more than one match. I'll wrestle this guy. I don't care about the weight. He's like, I'll wrestle this guy, that guy. whoever. He was down.
He's ready to go.
That's
awesome.
A lot of people say that. They're like, I'll wrestle anybody, anytime.
Yeah.
No,
He came and
people
said,
really mean it. You know what I mean?
It up.
But he came to back it up, and his dad was there with him, and he's like, "Yeah, we just want to get better. We just want to scrap." And,
that's what's
and
about.
He's like, we're not really worried about
especially
anything.
those off-season tournaments, man.
So,
it's about coming and getting better.
I really appreciated his mentality.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Really willing to put it online. And he was tough.
You don't see it a lot.
He scrapped hard, wrestled tough. Jacob Woodburn there, but he's gonna be ready to go, and he's put on some good weight moving up, as you were talking about, right? And he's been working with Kerry Miller too. Appalachian State SoCon champ Kerry Miller. So he's been getting some good technique. Yeah,
and we want to go ahead and plug something really fast. Talking about Kerry Miller, this Saturday, the Sergeant Stephen Baynard Foundation, I believe.
Yes,
with Cheryl Baynard, and they're going to be doing a clinic with Daniel Lowenby, national champ for UNC Pembroke.
Two-time
national champ, right? And Inca alumni, strong, courageous guy. North Carolina through and
the
through.
Other clinician is going to be Kerry Miller. We're talking about. He's a SoCon champ from Appalachian State. He is also another North Carolina kid, right, from Northwest Guilford. So definitely check that clinic camp out, right?
Yeah.
It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday next weekend. It's going to be awesome. I'll be there. Rhett might pop by.
I'm going to try and drop in.
But I'll be there definitely on Saturday, maybe there another day. Trying to get some footage and maybe some interviews with some of you guys. So
yeah, that's something we'd love to do. I think if you I'm pulling it up now. I want to make sure that I get you guys the right information for this, because what's awesome about it also, if I'm not mistaken, your school that comes will get a part of.
Yeah, it's one of the big things about it. Cheryl's and Keith Norris is the other person behind that, Tristan's dad, and they definitely are able to. They're trying to give back to the wrestling community as much as possible, and trying to make sure that all high school programs succeed, not just theirs. So it's pretty cool, and we're lucky enough to be around that, right?
Yeah, we are.
They're Hendersonville people as well. So, but check that out. Red will push that out on our social media again as well in the next couple of days.
For sure.
But
a great opportunity to get better.
This is
what that is, guys. A great opportunity to get better. Right here in the beginning of the season, and a season that we're gonna have to get going fast, and so it's a great time to get up here and get
ready for NHSCAs, right? That's right on the corner. We'll talk about that. We should talk about that.
Yeah. And so if you have any questions about that, email them at Sergeant, so SGT, SMB Foundation at AOL.com. Okay, or contact Cheryl Baynard at 828-702-1969. All right. That's going to be this Saturday or next Saturday, April 16th. All right, 16th through the 18th. It's actually a 3-day.
Yeah.
2-day. Sorry, 3-day. Yeah. It's going to be great though. Two great clinicians. It's going to be a really good camp. So we want to push that out and give you guys the opportunity to get better. But let's get back into this.
So back to that 132. We kind of got chance.
Got sidetracked there. Sorry.
But we need to do. Shout out to them. I'm gonna say this is Stephen Cotton's weight to win.
32?
Right? Yeah, 32. Okay. I think he's the best overall skill set to win this weight. So he is right now my pick. And then I think Kaiser's gonna be the opposite of him in the finals. So let's look at 38. 38, we got Will Lewis is by far the front runner to me.
Yeah, if he goes
38.
He's 38, he wins it.
Down 32, I think he's the favorite there too. But like I said, my opinion, I think we see him at 38. Man, he went from Joshua Wilson from Southeast Guilford. He got teched by him in the beginning of the year last year, and then he pinned him in the state finals, right?
Yeah.
So that was a huge win. That bolted him from, okay, I'm a good high state placer in North Carolina that put him on the big boards for me, a big board raider, because I think very highly of Josh Wilson, obviously, because of all the things he did at Greensboro College this year, right? So that was a huge win, and that's kind of changed perspective for me a little bit about him too, is, hey, this kid is going to dominate this weight, right? And now his biggest challengers, you got Zach Parnegas from Stuart Kramer down there in the Gaston County area, And then Daniel Tyranny from Concord, which Daniel's just a sophomore, placed 5th last year, moving up a couple weights, but doing big things at Concord as well. So those are kind of the 2 challengers that could emerge for Will Lewis. But to me, I think Will Lewis kind of in his own tier.
His own tier. Yeah, we're going to throw it back to that.
A little bit last time, but
put it back to that. He's in his own tier. I agree. I think that Lewis, if he goes 38, I think he wins it. I think he's in the same boat as Trip Collins of whatever weight he goes to, he controls it.
Yeah,
to me,
for sure,
personally. So 45 is a really exciting one though for me. Rex Howard from Crest, that kid's a stud. He is. He's really good.
Yeah.
Really good on his feet. He's slick. And then you've got Nick Schultz from Cuthbertson. And then you've got Nick Williams from Triton, I believe, right?
I think so, yeah.
But we also have a kid from Inca that we've got 2 that I don't know exactly where they're going weight-wise yet. Okay? I don't know yet. But Eli Foster and Grayson Harris.
Oh, yeah. Both kids great, right?
Yeah. I think if Eli goes 45 this year, I think he can make a run at it. He qualified last year, wrestled really tough in the state tournament. But I think he can make a really good run if he wrestles solid. With him, to me personally, he's got to come out and wrestle his match. He's got to figure out how to get to his offense and get to his stuff to succeed. But that Rex Howard kid, man, he's a stud. He's tough.
Like you said, he's great on his feet. I feel like he's the front runner right now for this weight.
Yeah.
I really like.
I wouldn't pick against.
I really like Grayson Harris. I've told you this off air.
Yeah.
He's exciting, right? I think he has a great style that's kind of like brand friendly too. He goes for it. He gets after it.
He will. He will.
And
he will send
last year. The same.
Dude, that was. I think that was the biggest pop of the tournament.
That was sick.
I don't know if it's because I was right behind the corner and we were all going insane. But
if he goes 45, I think Rex Howard, him are kind of those top 2.
Yeah.
Now, and Nick Schultz, you're right there as well with being a 4th place winner last year.
Right.
So we'll see. But if Harris goes 45, I might be inclined to pick him. I have a feeling
it's going to shake up,
especially because you got that Inca room.
Yeah.
I'm giving you a hard time about it, but
I know
y'all got a bunch of studs in there, and you're only going to get better by wrestling all those partners.
We are, and I think it's going to shake up. And I don't know anything officially here, because we're shooting this on Sunday. First day of the season's tomorrow, so tomorrow will be the first day that we're officially in the room.
Excited that.
And so I think it's going to shake up. The Foster's going 45, if I'm not mistaken. That's going to be my guess. I think he goes 45. And I think Harris goes 52. And we're going to transition into 52.
If he goes 52,
that's the most exciting weight of the whole
night this way.
If he goes 52, that's my good weight. I know that I'm a little biased, but it's my favorite weight in the entire tournament.
Yeah,
is going to be 3A 152. 3A, because you've got Hunter Campbell from North Brunswick, finishing 5th, 3rd, and 4th. Right, you've got Luke Masterson, a state qualifier, and then took 2nd, and then you've got Aaron Faison, who is really good, man. But really then we're going to add in, I think, and I know that I'm biased here. I know I'm really biased, so everybody don't give me too much crap on this, but I think Grayson's one of the most exciting kids in the state.
Yeah.
Because he will throw caution to the wind. He will go for it. And we throw in Grayson. And, man, and he's another kid that's grown, but he's put on the right way. We talked about, these kids jumping up, but he's put on the right way. Looks great. It's just – I'm excited. If he goes 52, this is the most exciting weight in the whole tournament to me.
Yeah, I like this weight a lot. I definitely think it's the most exciting one of 3A. So Hunter Campbell came in last year, man, and he was a lot of people's pick to win the state tournament last year.
Yeah.
Or at least to be in that running with Dallas Wilson, right?
Right.
And he ended up being on the same side as Dallas. And
there might be some news on that coming soon. We can't say too much yet, but we might have some Dallas Wilson news coming.
But Campbell, he's 5th, third, fourth, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. He's going to be tough to beat, right?
He is. He is.
Masterson, runner-up last year. His loss for the state tournament was to Gagne, right? Who just absolutely buzzsawed everybody last year.
Yeah. Heath Gagne was a monster last year. We got to see him in the state dual finals. And great kid, too. Man, he's up at App State now. Awesome kid, you know?
And so Masterson is moving up a little bit of weight, but he moved up, and he had a win over Aiden Curry recently, a couple months ago. So, yeah, obviously he's doing something right. And obviously Central Cabarrus kid. So you know that I'm kind of picking him to place really high. Because if I'm picking them to win, you know I'm thinking highly of their individuals because they got to place high for to beat you.
Yeah.
So I think Masterson, Campbell are definitely two of the title contenders. I'm personally kind of leaning towards Masterson with that. I think very highly of Aiden Curry. So for him to get that win over him. And then Faison, he obviously has the pedigree. His brother's at NC State. He was a state champ. And he has some big wins as well. So he's definitely one that's going to be pushed in. Third at the state tournament last year. This, like you said, this way is the most exciting one. We got those three guys right there that honestly they could wrestle 10 times in a round robin, and it could end up any way, right? So Faison out of Union Pines right there in the middle of state, eastern side of state. So I don't know, man.
Solid history from that program. And he's in the Innovate Club now too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been down there.
He's down there with Alan Waters and Boomer Boyd.
We have we're down there with Boomer Boyd and then Alan Waters.
Yeah.
I mean,
hammers. Two absolute hammers that are going to change that side of the state. I think there's going to be a massive shift. That there's going to be some really good kids come out of that room down there with Boomer Boyd and Alan Waters.
Definitely. He's going to be one.
Boomer Boyd coming back home to the Wilmington.
So Faison in area could emerge as the favorite.
Yeah.
And
he's got hammers everywhere in that room. He's got some really good workout partners there.
And him and Campbell, they're going to see each other at some point, I'm sure, this year, even though with the dual season. So we'll maybe see that one early. They might not see Masterson until the state tournament.
Right.
And Harris being all the way out here, I'm not sure if we'll see that. But if Harris does go that way, those top four, those semifinals, you're going to see me sitting there just glued to those.
Yeah.
Ones. So I'm excited.
Man, Harris, what sets him apart to me is that kid's mentality. He is ready to go with anybody at any time.
Yeah.
He comes in, he works. And when it's time to work, he's ready to. You know, you sometimes have these high school kids that, you know, they find out they're good pretty early, and some of them don't want to work, you know, or you kind of have like the maturity issues from high school kids. Like this kid, ever since I've met him, when it's time to go to work, it's time to go to work. He leads by example, leads from the front. He's a kid. It's easy to root for him, you know, and especially as a coach, you know, he comes in and he does the right things all the time. He does the right things, you know, nutrition-wise, academically. He's one of my favorite kids I've ever coached, you know, and I don't work with him a lot because I work with big guys.
Yeah.
But just watching him and watching how he goes about it, you know, with his dad as the coach, he handles that great. You know, their relationship is awesome to watch them. That was like my favorite thing was him, you know, placing last year and Harris getting to be in the corner of his son placing at the state tournament as a sophomore. You know, it's just it's going to be awesome. That I think if he goes 52, he's got a loaded bracket. But I'm picking my boy. I'm picking Grayson there if he goes 52.
I mean, it's going to be a good way.
Yeah, it is.
Let's step up to 160 because we have another Inca kid here to talk about.
Sir,
right?
Another great kid.
Rhett's favorite episode. Just get to talk about you Inca kids.
Get to talk about my boys.
You got Torres from Inca. Yep. You got fifth last year. You also got, I don't want to leave out Yoel Del Rio from North Brunswick, who's gotten sixth twice, 2 years in a row. But you got the favorite, right, which is Caden Early from AC Reynolds. He got third. Now, I expect to see him back the weight just based on where he's been wrestling this offseason. That kid is tough, man. He is just a scrapper. I watched him go down big. I gave up a big move at the Gauntlet Wrestling Productions thing and just clawed his way back and hit the nastiest duck. So sick. If you haven't watched that yet, go to the Gauntlet Wrestling Productions Facebook page and find that match and watch that. The duck he hit with like 3 seconds left to win was sick. But he stays in really good position, man, too, for a kid that was a sophomore at 160 last year to get third. And the way he stayed in position and strapped through everything was really impressive to me. So if he's back at this weight, I'll take him over anybody for AC Reynolds, for sure. And I know you're going to disagree because you got your Inca bias, and that's fine. Torres, you could use me if you want, but I'll take Kate Curley. Well, you guys will see each other. AC Reynolds, Inca, not very far from each other. So
that's going to be a good duel. I'm excited for that one. They know each other. They know each other well. They know.
They probably train together strong trades a little bit.
And so it's always a fun one to watch. Tony last year, I think, could have won a state title. I think he could have. I think he had the skills. I think he just didn't wrestle his matches, and sometimes it falls that way. Sometimes you get up to Greensboro and some of the best kids end up not winning a state title just because they don't wrestle their match. They let the moment get them sometimes. And I think Tony, his offense is looking great. I mean, that's been one thing for him that, and you talk about all the time, is that you normally pick off of who gets the best who has the best leg attack.
Yeah, I'll take the kid who has the best leg attack.
Who can score, right? Who can score. And I think this year Tony's going to score on everybody. I think it's going to be tough to stop that kid. And for me, of course, I'm going to go with Inca bias here a little bit, but I'm also going to go off of what I've seen and this kid's mentality and how much he's wanted it since last year, since we left Greensboro. It was awesome to win that team title, but that kid was one of the ones that, he didn't end his weekend the way he wanted to. And he made sure, and he has made sure since then, that he's doing everything he can to change that. He knows he's got one last run at it, and he's ready to go. So I'm really excited for that one. That's going to be a really fun one. Same conference.
Yeah,
same conference. So we're going to see him
at least 4 times, right?
We're going to see. We've got a dual. We've got dual conference regionals in the state tournament, and I think that's the state finals.
Caden, early, if you're watching this, man, Red's picking Torres. Obviously, I'm going with you, man.
No offense. No offense, because I love the cowboy hat look that he comes around in. But I'm going Torres.
I like to be right.
I'm going with you, Tony. I'm going with you.
With Rhett. So, Caden, help me prove Rhett wrong here.
So let's hop up to 170.
Where we got BMI commit, River Carroll.
There we go.
Man, this kid, he's another kid that gets the legs really well.
Yeah.
So you were just talking about, I like kids who get the legs, right?
Yeah.
There's a couple things I really look for, but leg attacks is kind of like my primary thing that I'm like, okay, I like that kid a lot. I think he can be successful. Because if you can get the legs, you score and get you can finish, right? Score. The other thing from your feet, right, is kind of like, how quickly can you finish, and how's that going to translate?
Right.
When you get to that collegiate level, you got to finish quicker.
Yeah.
But Rivers got a really great leg attacks as well, and he proved it last year, winning the weight with Caden Early in it. So he's obviously the favorite. He's at a new school. He's at Swansboro last year. He's at West Carteret this year, just not too far. So West Carteret, great program there as well. I think he's the favorite here, but there's a good challenger. Oren Boast from East Rowan. Now, this kid's a stud. He actually beat Early at, I think it was at the Greco-Roman Fall Classic, where he beat Early there. He's an Appalachian State commit, so going down to App, being with John Mark Bentley, and he's joining Landed Ford, Riley Edwards, Tristan Norris in that recruiting class. And
what a great class they have, man.
Great
shout out to John Mark for that recruiting class. That is a solid class.
Kids, man, and he's going to be really tough to beat. Now, I think this is off memory. I don't have this bracket in front of me, but I think his only loss of the state tournament last year was Tyler Hughes from CBA Cop.
Yeah.
And that kid just buzzsawed everybody, right? So not a bad loss there. So Orton's going to be really tough to beat as far as anybody else kind of merging into that finals match. So I think it really comes down to River Carroll, Orrin Bose, the top two. Now, there's a couple guys that could probably mess that up. And that's Jaden Paul from Cape Fear. He looked really good last year. Was at this weight last year as well. So we'll see if he stays. But then another Inca kid. Here we go, guys. I'm sorry.
Oh, boy.
We're doing Luke Arts.
Luke Arts.
He got 4th last year. We'll see. See how it goes. I'm not sure if Jaden Paul or Luke Arts have the ability to challenge Carroll or Bose. I think, like I said, we kind of talk about tier.
Here's my thing.
I kind of think they're tier above. I think you're going to disagree because you got your Inca shirt on, you got your Inca coach on. So
I hear you. Not like, and whenever we started this, I always said that I'm never going to pick against my guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to. I will.
Carroll, I hear you.
Those.
Right. Well, the thing about Arts is that kid is dangerous from anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's where you get those big kids, or those big names like Carroll and Bose. That's where you put those kids in trouble, and that's where that's where it gets risky for them. Arts is dangerous from anywhere. It does not matter if he's on his back getting stuck. He can change that matchup. And the kid is motivated. He works hard. Him and Torres are training partners there and there. And he was another kid that came out of Greensboro that last year he did not have the season, and he didn't end up where he wanted to and where he thought he could have. And he's been working his butt off.
Yeah.
And it's another kid that he's easy to root for, and I've got to work with him a little bit. Once we get to these higher weights in the Inca room, I get to start working with them a little more. Because we just have so many great coaches that we're able to split it up. But he's so dangerous. He's great on top. On bottom, he gets up quick, right? He's got a great series of stand-ups and everything else that he can work. He can work fast. It's just with Arts, it's getting to his offense.
Yeah.
It is him getting to his offense and not getting slowed down. He likes to work out of a tie, and he slows himself down sometimes.
Carroll and Bose are a tier above, because they'll get to that offense.
But you might get to that offense, and Arts might throw you on your head.
Inca guys, that Rhett's always talking big about you guys. He believes in you guys. I'm the doubter right now, so you can prove me wrong if you want. So how I was telling you guys about Jed Cox and that kid that took the match with less than 24 hours, and they were like, we want that smoke.
Yeah.
This is him, Max Steele, right here, 182. I don't know if he'll be back at this weight. I know he wasn't very big at the Gauntlet Wrestling Productions thing. He wrestled 220. I think he weighed in at 195.
Fun to wrestle.
Middle of the seat. So
I love it.
I kind of think he'll be
back at 182.
And he wanted that smoke. He came out, beat Joshua George, who got third at 220 last year, and beat him by fall. Cradled him, locked it up, stuck him, right? And then he is the highest returning place winner at this weight. Yeah. And right now he's ranked number 1 on the ncmat.com. And I think he's the main contender. This is the guy. Max Steele really impressed me with his not only pinning Joshua George, right? That's one thing, but just the attitude of I want this smoke. I want to scrap. And he talked about that Southeast Guilford room, and kind of that's the mentality. We want to wrestle. We want to step up, and we want to be able to wrestle the best guys.
Right.
So I see him being that guy. Now there's a couple guys that can challenge him. East Rowan, a guy in Trayvon Foss.
Yeah.
Right. I see him being a guy, especially we talked about practice partners, right? Him and Bruce, they're going to be wrestling each other, I'm sure, a lot. So those guys, and then Noah Atkinson from South Brunswick. He's also a guy that could challenge. He was a state placer last year. And now, speaking of practice partners, this isn't a guy I think that can challenge for a title. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm talking
about.
Maybe
not this year.
Yeah, not this year. He's going to go from a non-state qualifier to a kid that's going to challenge for a 4th place, is my opinion. And it's Cruz from West Carteret.
We had him picked as a dark horse.
Yeah.
Somebody had submitted him as a dark horse for us to look at, and I completely agree.
He only lost to Aaron Bancroft, 2-time state champ.
Yeah.
And then he dropped down and took another loss. But the big reason why I think he's a dark horse candidate is because he went from not having really too many people around his weight that could challenge him to now he has Robert Carroll at his school, state champ.
Yeah.
And when you're taking losses like he did last year, where you're on the cusp of making the state tournament, and then you get a practice partner like that, I feel like that just kind of signals
jumps him hey, leaps and bounds right
he's
there.
Gonna make a
jump you up.
And like I said, I don't think he's a guy that's going to challenge for a title. it was him versus Max Steele. I'm picking Max Steele, right? But I do think he's a guy that's going to go from state qualifier to jump. And if I put a guy for each classification in my Patreon account, and he was my guy, and that's one of the big reasons why. And then for 1A, it was Tristan Adams, and for 2A, it was Silas Tate from Burns. And then I'll talk about the 4A guy when we get there. But that's a guy to watch. I think if Max Steele gets down, this is his weight. I'll take him just because of his attitude, for one,
right,
and on top of his skill set. So let's go ahead. Let's get to your boy. 195, number one in the state right now on the ncmat.com, Colby Maxwell.
Colby Maxwell.
State finalist last year. I know you work really closely with him. I know he watched the show. Thanks, Colby.
Yeah.
So right now he's the front runner. He's out there. But there's a guy that is waiting in the wings to challenge him, right? Appalachian State commit. His brother wrestled at App. He was a state runner-up as a sophomore, and then he was injured last year. Joe Zavotsky. Joe Z, right? He's also an incredible football player, apparently. I don't really watch high school football, but this is just what I hear. And then they also have Jalen Bullock, who got third last year, and Robert Shuford from Statesville, who got fourth last year. But to me, I'm going to take Colby and Joe Zavotsky, maybe kind of in a tier, and then the next two guys. Maybe Jalen Bullock gets in that tier as well. Robert Shuford, I don't know as much about, to be quite honest. I am pretty impressed with Joe Z, since he got back from his injury. He had a win over Cage Williams, which, if you watched the last episode, know I'm a huge fan of Cage. He's been doing some big things here, so I'm kind of leaning towards picking for the state runner-up from 2 years ago and Appalachian State commit Joe Z over your man Colby. I know you're going to go Colby, and you should. That's your guy, but it's definitely going to be one of those matches. It could go either way. I'm leaning towards Joe Z, but definitely going to be a good match.
It's going to come down to who can score.
Yeah, man.
Because both those guys are tough. Both of those guys are so tough. Colby's one of the toughest kids I've ever met, in the fact of you can sit there. I drill with him every day. So I'm one of his main workout partners, and so I've seen him as tired as you can get him. I've seen him as low as you can get him, and I've seen him as excited as he can get. And he is tough. He's tough to score on. One, he's strong. He's one of the strongest 195-pounders I've ever seen. The kid puts hands on you, and you feel it for 3 days. Okay, and that's something that we've worked on since I came. And he's tough. Like that. That's just it. Like he doesn't have a lot of different offense and everything else, but he is good at what he does. Right? He's good. He's good at what he does, and he's tough. We've been working on offense, and last year he worked on his offense, and it's getting better. It's getting better. And he's making leaps and bounds. He's gone and wrestled off season this year. He's gone and wrestled. He's gone and he's been practicing and lifting, getting stronger. And I think it's going to come down to who scores in that match, who gets to their offense, and who can dictate that match. And of course, I'm going Colby. Of course, I'm going my boy here. But I'm excited about that one. That's going to be a really fun one to watch and to see.
Yeah, and like I said, you should go with Colby, and Rhett sings your praises there, Colby. So I'm going to pick Josie. I'm just going to be honest.
Nothing wrong with
it. I'm going to pick
nothing wrong with it.
So 220, let's step up to 220. We got Alex McCallum, Southeast Guilford. He got fifth last year. You got Elijah Hurd from North Iredale. And you got a name you might recognize, Andrew Machiavello, brother of Mike Mock, right? Sun Valley. He had a pretty good wins in this offseason. So not a state placer from last year, but a guy that you should be paying attention to that might emerge. I know he's been training with the Cata guys at C2X a little bit. So, and then this is the guy I think that actually is the key to y'all's team title. If you're going to sway me and say, listen, we're going to beat Central Cabarrus, this is the guy that's going to swing it.
Yeah.
It's Dylan Wright. He's a two-time state placer. He got third in Nevada. I remember you talking about him a little bit to me last year. I think he's the key. If he can come into this weight, which this weight isn't super deep.
No.
You have Hurt, McCullough, Machiavello, and a couple other guys in there that I'm not being disrespectful to you guys. I'm just talking just a couple of guys in there. But I think Wright can emerge as a guy who can win a title. And you know as well as I do, winning a title is going to bring big points. So that guy's kind of the guy, I think, that's going to be the key to your state title run. So
he's another kid. Wright is another kid that he's like Arts. He's dangerous.
Yeah.
He's really good upper body, and he's an athlete. Awesome. He's a great quarterback. He played quarterback for Inca this year. Solid athlete, man. He really is. And it's him getting to his offense again, but he is dangerous. And and he had some of the biggest like wins last year in our team title run.
Yeah.
And even in our run to the finals for duels, he came in clutch in duels, and wrestled some really tough kids where we needed him and came up and did some big things. And so I'm really excited to see what Wright does this year. He's really, like I said, he's dangerous. Kid works hard, and I think he's got a shot to make a run here. I'm really excited to see it. I would agree with that with our team race with us and Central Cabarrus, or Central Cabarrus, and I think it comes down to Wright and Foster. I'm gonna put that a little bit on Eli because I know he can carry it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that on you, and not all on you because the whole team's got to compete. But if Eli comes out and wrestles the way he knows how to wrestle and wrestles to his potential, and Wright comes out and wrestles, I think we win a team title. I know that Arts and Torres and Foster are our seniors, and Colby that are going to be leading the way. They're going to be leading the charge in the room. But I think and Foster is going to be leading it, but it's just we got to come compete.
Yeah,
we got to get there. We got to compete, sure. And I'm excited for it. We're going to go up to 285, and I'm going to throw it back to last episode. Tristan Norris, next topic.
But you're going next topic.
Next topic.
Oh boy,
Tristan Norris from North Henderson, 285 will run through this tournament.
Man, I love. I'm a big Tristan.
I know you are. App State commit. North Henderson, fifth, second. He's made the jump to 285. His style works perfectly for it. I think he is going to dominate this bracket. But the one kid that I see that's going to give him problems is going to be from Southeast Guilford.
Southern Guilford.
Southern Guilford. Yeah.
So Tristan, obviously, Super 32 placer. He's been on probably the hottest heater of any guy we have in North Carolina as far as like building his name, right?
Yeah.
And he's a local favorite, and we've seen him since he was a kid, right?
Right.
I remember watching him when he was in the middle school and just knowing that he was going to be what he is now, right? Even maybe not to quite the level where he's at, but I'm like, that kid's going to be great. So
works hard day in, day out.
He's my grinder for sure.
Yeah.
But for Jameer from Southern Guilford, Coach Hardy's his coach, right? NCAA.
Yeah, Chaplain Hill.
And he's right there, right?
That is tough.
So they wrestled just a few weeks ago. Tristan's dad, Keith, put it up, and it was like an unofficial match, I think. But and Tristan won 5-1. So
I think that's where it comes down to is that Tristan can score.
Heavyweight's not going to have like the big gap of scores a lot of times. So I think
5-1's a big gap.
And Tristan's a guy who can get to leg attacks.
And for a heavyweight, at least. We'll say it that way. 5-1's a big guy.
So, and my friend Barry Jackson, former coach of yours, friend of mine, he's worked out with Tristan a couple times, and he sings Tristan's praises. I think he's going to be really good on the next level.
Wrestled at Purdue, so he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah,
he's been around some of the best Big Ten wrestler, and
so there's a kid we're leaving out though.
There is, and I know who it's going to be.
Hardy.
Yep.
He is good. Cody Hart is really good. He was rounded 12 at Super 32 last year.
Yeah.
Or this past year, and he got third. And this is a kid that I don't think anybody can overlook when it comes to this bracket, because, man, he's a guy that moves like a lighter weight at a heavyweight. And obviously, if he's getting round 12 at Super 32,
He's doing something right.
He's doing something right?
He is.
So the three of these guys, I honestly feel like the three of these guys can compete nationally. We already know Tristan can. We already know Jameer can. Cody can as well, right? Like the Super 32 performance. So three guys at heavyweight that we could see do really well.
Yeah, big things.
And I feel like if we took the other two out, that any of them would be like a heavy favorite. You know what I mean? If you took Norris and Jameer away, Cody Hardy's a big favorite and whatnot. But I think this is a great weight to watch.
It's probably the most exciting heavyweight bracket that we've had with three big names. But I got to give it to Coach Oy.
Yeah, I'm going.
And I got to give it to Norman Osteen and to Coach Jackson. I'm going locally here, and I'm going with Tristan Norris. I've seen the kid wrestle. You know, him and Colby had a monster match last year in the duel, and I'm going with Tristan. And I think he dominates it the whole season. I think he turns it on, and I think he could major his way through that tournament. I know it's bold, but man, Tristan's offense, from everything I'm hearing and from what I've seen, looks solid.
It does look good. He has
for a heavyweight, it is a ridiculous offense.
I mean, he's had some really huge wins.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm taking him as well. So
let's
move up to 4A, right?
Probably the most hyped up classification.
Yeah, depth. A lot of people said 4A is the toughest, 4A is the toughest, 4A is the toughest.
It should be.
And it should be. Depth-wise, it makes the most sense, right? You have the biggest schools, the biggest talent pools. Yes. It should be the toughest. Like, that's the way it's supposed to work as far as depth. That doesn't mean like a 2A guy can't beat a 4A guy because that happens all the time, right?
Right.
And 4 or Kyle Macho, Perto.
Yeah.
All those guys, right? So, but it should be the most depth. So let's go 4A. 106. You got Luke Kuntz from Cardinal Gibbons. I'm not sure if he's staying here. I know he's wrestled 113 a little bit this offseason. We'll see if he stays down to 106.
Yeah.
It'll be really, really, really tough to beat. I'm not sure if I see anyone beating him. And then we have Hunter Jones from Hickory Ridge and Cale Bergquist from Heritage. Both these guys placed as freshmen at the state tournament, 5th and 6th for those guys. And it's hard to know. Are they going to be freshmen that stay down because they were a little undersized, right? And they're kind of developing. Are they going to be freshmen that grow?
Yeah.
Not sure where they'll end up. I know Hunter Jones just kind of wrestled right around 106, 113 in the offseason. So we might see him back down, especially with the what they give me 108 right away.
Yeah.
If they stay down, they're definitely in that conversation. I don't think they beat Kuntz, but they're in that.
They're there.
Now, there's a freshman coming from Mallard Creek. His name is Cam Stinson. And this kid is going to light the world on fire, I think. I think really highly of him. This is the reason why at 3A 106, I'm pretty adamant about Charleston Baglio being really good, because Charleston has a win over Cam Stinson, and I think really highly of Cam. Actually, Frank was the first person to tell me about Cam because of his connection to Mallard Creek. So I think he's going to be really good. I'm not sure. It depends on what Kuntz does, whether I'm going to pick Cam to win this weight. Depends on what Hunter Jones is going to do. But Cam's going to be in the thick of things to win this weight for sure. With 113, though, I think there's a big favorite. It's Matthew Rowland, Pinecrest.
For sure.
Shout out to Coach Curtin. I know he's been a real big supporter of our program and our show and everything we're doing.
They've been putting work in down there.
Yeah, they have.
They've been putting work in.
The game is pretty good.
It is. Yeah, he's whoever's running it. I think if it's him, he's doing a great job.
Yeah, doing a great job.
Probably the best in the state, I would say.
One of the definitely.
I would say him and Huff.
Yeah, I don't know. Southeast Guilford during the season has some really good stuff as well.
Okay.
But I think for sure. But I think he's a heavy favorite. He got 4th 2 years ago, 5th last year. Do not take a bad shot on Matthew Rowland because he will make you pay.
Yeah,
he's going to make you pay.
Yeah.
And we've been seeing
it'll hurt.
He had a great Super 32. He did great at Grapple Fall Classic, great at the Super 32 early entry tournament. He's been this kid's been everywhere this offseason. I don't think there's been a tournament that I've really been paying attention to that he's been entered. He's been working out with those combat guys on their stacked combat teams.
Yeah.
And then speaking of shout out to combat. They've been doing great things for our state. So I think he's a heavy favorite. There's a freshman to keep the eyes on though. Lake Norman, I think our very first episode, I kind of talked about how excited I was for the Lake Norman team this year.
Yeah.
His name's Eli Murray. Really tough kid. He's been acclimating himself to the high school game in this offseason with the combat teams in the combat room. He's going to jump in that room with Josh Stanley and all these hammers. So I think he's a guy to watch. I'm not sure if he's a title contender type guy. I don't think he beats Roland or gets to that tier, but he's a guy that, hey, pay attention to by that June 26th state tournament. He probably is someone you don't want to wrestle, and he's going to place somewhere in the top there, depending on where our wrestleback situation is. Now, if Kuntz and Jones and Berquist move up,
they come into that bracket. That bracket is fun.
That bracket is fun that way.
Yeah.
I still think Roland's a tier above them. He's beaten Kuntz a couple times this offseason.
Yeah, I think Roland's that way.
And like I said, I think his
Pinecrest gets the state champ there.
Good.
But rolling down to 120, Mark Samuel,
returning champ
from Laney High School.
And
another innovate with Boomer Boyd and Alan Waters down there.
He honestly,
man, and those guys are and they're little guys.
Yes,
you know, and
he can really scrap with those guys, and
he can get in there and roll with those guys. I think this is his weight.
And I think Alan Waters in particular, his style from watching him on college
fits perfectly with him.
Fits perfect with Samuel's style.
It does. And that Laney team's going to be exciting.
So good.
Going to be exciting. They're doing big things down there. And I think Laney's only going to keep on growing with, Port City down there, Port City Pirates, that wrestling club, and then innovate. Yep. It's just they're going to grow. So I think this way to Samuels.
Yes.
There's a tough kid, Noah Luna, that he could be there.
Yeah.
But I just don't think
fourth last year. He's from Providence now. Noah Luna, he's a guy that I saw wrestle Elijah Boyd. We talked about Elijah last night. Wrestle Elijah Boyd really tough at the Gauntlet Wrestling Productions match. And so sneaky good on top. You get this little 2-on-1.
Something to watch out for there.
Something to watch out for. I'm not sure if he beats Samuel. But he's definitely in there in a match with him. He's not going to get.
It's close. He's not getting majored.
Luna's very impressive. Now I know Luna. That match that he wrestled with Boyd was in that 126 area.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see Luna move up a couple more weights because he has the frame. The kid looked like he was really, really growing. But he's a kid to watch out for sure.
And then we're going to roll it down to 126 here. And my pick is going to be the Huff. It's going to be a Huff pick. Yeah. That exciting team
is good.
Benjamin from Huff down there, Trip Rogers.
Yep.
Does great things. I'm a big fan of that program.
For sure.
But I also think it's going to be a tough one with Greg Merriman.
Yeah.
From Mooresville. I think that's a really tough.
And that's
going to be a big team race one right there. That's a big team race match right there.
And they were both in that sixth bracket last year. Merriman taking fourth, Fagerman making the finals opposite of Samuel. So the 106 pounders moving up to 126. I think those two guys are kind of your favorites in that tier by themselves. If Noah Luna moves into that way, watch it. I think Noah Luna's right there with those guys, maybe even kind of a tier above. I don't know. Maybe that might be my recency bias of seeing Luna live in person, 6 feet away from me.
Yeah.
And I know Fagerman kind of coming off an injury a little bit. I think he's going to be fine by the season by what that rolls around, but he's going to be really good. I mean, placed second as a freshman. Greg Merriman at Mooresville. Mooresville is stacked.
Yeah, they are
this year.
They are.
So those two guys, and I would be remiss not to mention William Klein from Providence. Now, who knows if he stays here? Because if Luna comes up,
it's going to bump everything down.
Luna might even go 32. I don't know how big he's getting.
I don't know how that room works there.
How that works, but William Klein could be in that tier too.
Right.
So 132
is going to be a fun.
This is the weight of 4A, and it might be the weight of the whole tournament.
For you? You think it's going to be the weight of the tournament for you?
This is kind of my favorite weight, Brett. This is the weight where I kind of circle. I'm like, man, I'm going to watch.
That's the one I'm
watching every match in this whole bracket. So let me run down some of the guys we got in this weight, y'all. We got Jacob Woodburn, who was a state runner-up as a freshman. Yep, Page. State runner-up as a freshman, lost to Richard Trainer. Then he was third last year because he was on the same side as Richard Trainer. So the only losses he has at the state tournament is a 2-time state champ. That's it, right? So Jacob Woodburn, he's gotten bigger, moving up from 113. I watched him in person, looking great. Then you got the favorite, James Joplin, right? This is the guy. He's been around, got third as a freshman, fourth as a sophomore, won his title last year with a pinfall, looking great. And he's been everywhere doing big things, right? He's looked great in this offseason. And I know that Joplin and Woodburn both go to combat and wrestle there together. And then you have Davis Freeze. This kid's funky too. I like Davis Freeze's style. He's kind of got that like a little bit of the sit the corner type of kind of just scramble about him.
Make it fun anywhere you go.
Yeah. So I like this kid. He got second last year as a freshman at 113. So two guys moving up from 113. Tyler Tracy got second at 3A 106 last year to Marcus Jackson. So if you're not catching up with me, that's 3 runner-ups and a state champ in this bracket. That's why it's my favorite. I like to see these guys kind of molding together and just kind of trying to go through each other instead of around each other. So you got Jacob Woodburn.
Well, it's tough at this weight in 4A.
Tracy and Freeze as runner-ups, and Joplin coming in as the favorite as a state champ, defending state champ.
What's tough at this weight, though, is that, I mean, you say you're glad to see him, not run for anybody, but they go up, they got a Russell Trainer.
Yeah, they go up.
They got a Russell Riley Edwards.
True.
You know what I mean? I know that's kind of jumping ahead of us a little bit, but
I know there's no place to go.
It's pick your poison, and I love it. I love that we're so stacked that we get to see that you have to you've got to be the best.
It's gonna be a good way.
You have to be the best, and I'm excited. I want to go Page. I want to go Woodburn from Page. That little Page, my brother coached up at Page High School, so I have a little bit of a bias towards there. But I don't see anybody beating Joplin, man. I don't think anybody.
No, Joplin. He's so
good.
Hot.
Yeah,
I think he's
so good, man.
He's kind of a tier 1, and then the tier 2 for me is Woodburn, David,
like a 1A,
and Tyler Tracy. Now there's a kid named Logan Hosley that's from Corinth Holders that can kind of disrupt that tier a little bit. I think he was a state qualifier as a freshman, could be moving up, but I think he'll be here.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun weight.
It's gonna be a great weight. I think Joplin, like I said, is kind of tier above right now, but Woodburn, Freeze, and Tracy, we'll see what order they kind of end up being.
Where they end up going.
I'm gonna probably take Woodburn to be the opposite Joplin there.
Yeah.
And I think Freeze and Joplin and Woodburn are all in the same region. I think I have to recheck that, but that would be a fun region.
We can say that pretty fast, yeah. So then we're gonna jump up to 138 here. I know I kind of talked about it a little bit, but this is another really exciting weight.
Yeah, with 2 runner-ups and a two-time state champ, right?
Yep.
You got Richard Trainer
from Huff.
Who's the favorite, but he is moving up 113 to 138.
That's a big jump.
Yeah. But he's proven.
Big jump.
He's proven, man. He's proven he's
you're good. You're good.
Yeah, if you're good, you're good, and he proves it on the national level all the time, which is why I have him number 2 on the big board, right? West Point commit. Kevin Ward obviously believes in him no matter what weight. So Richard Trainer gonna be great. Like I think I referenced this in the last episode or 2 episodes ago. When he was undersized as a freshman, he took 3rd at 106, and he was undersized there. So, but man,
and again in that room at Huff with Coach Rogers, doing great things down there, does it the right way, and that's a program.
He won that. He won the state pool team title and the tournament team title. It came down to him, and he got falls on both of them. So
Iceman.
I think he said
the Iceman, ice in his veins.
Yeah, so good.
And
but Riley Edwards,
he's not somebody to look over.
Yeah,
he is not somebody to look past. Riley Edwards is a stud.
Man, that kid wrestled Kobe Early, who is like one of the toughest kids.
Yeah.
I think Kobe Early is one of the most underrated North Carolina careers of all time.
Yeah.
And Edwards took him down the wire last year. That was a tough match. Like they were really scrapping.
For sure.
And Edwards is going to join them at Appalachian State. So Edwards is a Appalachian State commit,
nice
runner-up last year. And he's going to try to get that state title this year. And he's going to be wrestling in the high school room every day, James Joplin. So it's not like he's not lacking for partners. He's going to be at combat. And then you got Maxwell Keel,
who is a kid that we had entered in as a dark horse pick.
Yeah.
We had 2 or 3 of those guys from him.
He was state finalist opposite Joplin last year.
Yeah.
Joplin beat him in the finals. And Maxwell Keel, he's jumping up a couple
Which, it's a tough bracket. When your dark horse pick,
yes, that's what I was saying.
Is a runner-up.
I think he's correctly a dark horse pick because I feel like he might be a step behind Trainer and Edwards as far as like perception goes.
Right.
but he's state runner up, so he's going to be right in the thick of things. And then there's another kid that was mentioned was Nick Smith from Ragsdale.
Yes,
got 4th last year. Ragsdale's got a great program.
Yeah, they do.
So we could see him kind of enter that state title contention. At 145, we got one of my favorite kids in the state here, Jaden Dobeck from Pinecrest. We talked about
another
program.
one. Yeah.
Now I think we're going to see Jaden at 152. I haven't had that confirmed, or I haven't even asked really, but I think we see him move up just because freshman 145, 152. He's been competing at 152, so I see him move up. We have another kid from Laney, Connor Johnson, who got 3rd last year.
Another hammer there.
And then we got Figueroa from Huff, right? He got 2nd last year. He was runner up. Him and Johnson,
another tough kid,
had a really crazy match in the state tournament. So if Dobeck moves up, I feel like Johnson and Figueroa are the kind of the front runners. But there's a kid that not enough people are talking about. This is one of the kids I put in the Patreon article. His name is Drew Pepin from Northwest Guilford. Northwest Guilford, you got Joplin, Edwards,
Murder's
Pepin
Row right there. Yeah.
Now, Pepin got squeezed out of the lineup last year by Joplin and Edwards when they came down because they were wrestling 26-32 and came down to 20 and 26. But when he was wrestling 120 as a freshman last year, he had a win over Pascal from Glenn, who ended up being 6th. And then he had a win over runner-up Cody Lawson, who from South Stanley that we were talking about yesterday as a state title contender. So he had great wins.
He's big man.
He just couldn't make their line, right? So this kid's going to come in this year, and he's going to be at the top of this. I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of disrupts what we're talking about right now and kind of enters in this tier of, wow, hey, I'm a title contender too.
Yeah.
And then,
look at his workout partners.
Yeah, great.
Great workout partners right there. A great room, and you are forced to make jumps whenever you have workout partners like that. And from what I've heard, Joplin works, man.
Yeah, that's
that kid. That kid really goes, and so
he's got. The thing I like about him most is Joplin in particular is that he has a lot of variety of ways to score.
Yeah,
he scores a lot.
Yeah, he can score anywhere.
But this week's got an interesting wrinkle to it with some freshmen too. So we got Jackson Buck from Lumberton with Teague Little out there on the eastern side of the state.
Yeah,
he's been impressive. I don't know if he's going to be entering that state title contending tier yet, but he's definitely got to watch out for.
Yeah,
I think he's one that really can make some waves. And then we also have Noah Murray from Lake Norman. His brother Eli, we kind of talked about a little bit before. This kid's going to come in as a freshman, and he's going to be ready to contend for a title right away.
Yep.
Yeah, another Lake Norman kid. He has some really, really good wins for a kid entering freshman. He actually, I think he had a win over Joe Seeley a couple of years ago. It's not a recent one, I don't think. But he had one over Joe Seeley. He beat Hunter Ross one time as well, who's we talked about in our last episode as a 2A1. So really high level wins for a kid entering as a freshman. Right. So don't be surprised if Noah Murray's in the state finals at the end of the year. Now, 152, the aforementioned Jaden Dobeck, state runner-up last year as a freshman. Perfect example of why we need wrestlebacks, by the way, because he was a 4 seed coming out of the region and then wrestled to being a state runner-up. So we need those wrestlebacks. I'm still hopeful. But he probably is on paper the favorite. And then you got Torrey Moore from Grimsley, 5th place. I saw him at the Gauntlet Wrestling Productions thing. Shout out to Coach Hardy and Coach Woodward for putting that on. Tough kid, really, really nice kid, going to work really hard. And then you got a kid working with Coach Sigmund, Coach Byron Sigmund, North Carolina.
Coach,
North Carolina.
Kind of legends,
legend.
Down at Jack Britt High School, man.
This kid, Joseph Locke, was a state runner-up at 138 last year as a sophomore. And so that kid's moving up to 52, going to be good. So those 3 guys, that's a good little group right there. But Joe Seeley, guys. I'm taking Joe Seeley. Joe Seeley, I know I talked about him being at Surrey Central. I kind of held on to that information for a long time. And I'm just not that guy that's going to put information if you guys say something to me about something. I'm not, even if you say it's okay, I'm probably still not going to put it out there as much just because I'm not that person.
So you announce it, we are not going to.
Yeah, well, I won't say anything. So, but it sounds like from everything I heard from feedback from that episode last time is that Joe Seeley's getting me back at High Point Central this year. And it's kind of funny. I was looking at for Project for Southeast Wrestling. I was looking at High Point Central's last state champs. It was Isaac Toe a couple years ago, but before that, it was Will Reynolds, Clay Reynolds, Ty Reynolds.
Yeah.
Speaking of legends of North Carolina, right? So, but Joe Seeley, man, if he goes this way, I think he beats all three of those guys. He's just kind of on another tier.
I think Locke is really good. And
Locke's great.
I think Locke's the one that can push him.
Locke's great. Corey Moore is great. Joe Seeley tech fault him. Dobek is amazing. I think very highly of Jaden. One of my favorite kids in the state. But I think Joe Seeley's kind of just on a tier of himself right now.
You and your hype trains.
So I guess I am conductor of these hype trains right now.
No, I mean, he's solid. You know,
So good,
I had a match sent to me that I finally got to watch him, and he is really good. He is.
Yeah,
I mean,
really good.
he's tough on his feet. He pushes the pace. And I think that's where he's getting kids, is that pace he wrestles at.
Yeah.
And he's attacking nonstop.
He is. And I think when he's attacking nonstop is, he's taking shots, but
they're good ones.
His feet and his hands move the whole time,
stop.
right? It's not just like in high school, you see a lot of times guys like moving their feet or moving their hands. Seeley's moving his feet.
They're always moving. They're always going.
Right?
And
I remember Gabe Dean, Cornell guy, would always say his thing to himself was move your hands, move your feet. And I feel like Seeley does that really well. Move his hands, move his feet. He creates angles and creates angles for himself. And then his pace.
I see the tear coming out when you said Dean.
Let's not talk Cornell right now.
Cornell shirt on.
One of my teams, but
it's okay.
But let's move up to 160. It's another good
I had
weight.
to point it out.
Yeah, another good weight right here. Luke Gooden from Mooresville got third last year.
It's a solid weight.
Noah Williams, Apex, fourth last year. Andrew Doss, who got third at 2 years ago, right? And then last year kind of had a disappointing state tournament. He actually lost to Gooden in the quarters. I remember because I was like, I pegged that one as that's a quarter I'm going to really pay attention to.
Yeah.
I thought Doss was going to win comfortably, kind of like a 4-1, 5-3 type of match, but Gooden poured it on a little bit. So, and then Doss ended up not being able to wrestle back. So he's right in the thick of things. You got New from Cardinal Gibbons, who was a freshman state qualifier at 4A 160. Does not happen like ever. So, I mean, that's pretty good. Who knows if he stays at 160 being a freshman? We'll see if he grows. My dark horse pick, though, watch out for Alex Hopper from New Bern. Now, he was at Topsa last year, and he got fifth as a freshman at 138. So he's moving up a good bit of weight. But this kid is, I like him a lot. He's down there in that Port City Pirates Innovate. He was with Coach Whitman last year, who we both know from he was out from this side of the state. And so then he'll be with Coach Ruzicki this year at New Bern. So watch out for that kid. And then Noah Rupp from Providence got fifth last year. So those are kind of your contenders. We'll see how it shakes out. This weight, I feel like, is kind of a weight you could pick anyone and you're not wrong. You can pick a couple guys. And I don't know if there's one guy I'm going to be like, all right, that's the guy. I'm kind of leaning towards Hopper from New Bern, but that might just be just because I've heard really good things. Mooresville's great program. Doss, I think Doss should be right there. I don't know, man. This way, like I said, it's kind of a pick 'em weight.
Yeah, it is.
Pick 'em weight right here.
It is. So go down to 170. And this one, I think, it's a good one. I think it's a big one for Laney.
Yeah,
I think it's a big one for Laney. Yeah,
I feel like a lot of it was senior laden last year.
Yeah, it was. But I think it's this and 182 are the two thinnest of the tournament this whole year of everyone. But Poole from Laney and then Beatty from Wake Forest.
Yeah. Beatty was a state qualifier as a freshman at 170. He was a match away from placing.
I like Beatty here.
Yeah.
From Wake Forest. I really do. I hate to pick against Laney.
Poole. He was injured last year. We'll see how he comes back from that. He's in that Laney room. He's gonna definitely be pushed in the room, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. But him and Beatty are kind of up there tier wise. And then let's move up to 182. Speaking of Laney, we got
Yep.
one of the best kids in the state. I feel like
Yeah.
that kind of gets overlooked a little bit. Devin Bell, who actually was at Topsail his freshman year at 3A, was state qualifier there. And last year he had a match that I wouldn't say that the match was when Donald Cates was close per se, right? Cates was clearly better on his feet.
Yeah.
But man, if Devin Bell didn't hand fight that dude to death, right? And he
made him work for it, and he will for Cates.
Cates didn't want to go down. Cates did not want to be underneath Devin Bell.
Yeah.
Period. And, I mean, I watched that.
Says a lot. That says a lot,
right? Like,
Cates
was like, I'm not going to go down.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So I think Devin Bell, 182, clear favorite.
Yeah.
It's just undebatable. Like, you're going to see
Devin Bell, Laney, 182, 4A state champ. Next topic. We're going to 95.
All right.
And this one is awesome. I think this is another one of the kids.
That I
think he's one of the best kids in the whole.
132 was my favorite weight. I might take maybe even walk that back a little bit because I like this weight a lot too.
This is this is no question. It's easily my second favorite.
I said I like when state champs fight each other.
This is going to be amazing.
Cypher could find his way back to 82, but I see him going 95 this year.
Who do you think wins that?
Between Bell and Cypher?
Yep.
I'll take
if that happens.
I'll take Cypher.
You take Cypher there? Okay. I think he's that good as well. I think old Cypher is such a hammer, man.
But I see him coming up to 95. He wrestled 95 a good bit in the off season. He's at Millbrook, third, first. Now his third were at upper weights. It's not like he was at like a 132. Yeah. He was third at 182, third at 182,
which is big in 4A.
Yeah,
that's big. They're normally really deep at those big weights.
And last year he didn't just win the state tournament. He bonused his way through it. He buzzsaw.
Yep.
So he's here, state champ. Sakari Morrison, Newton Conover, 2A 195-pound state champ. Yep. Now at Lake Norman is going to be here. Super 32 AA, right? Super 32. So good.
Monster.
So good. And then you have former Lake Norman wrestler, Caleb Tate.
Goes over to the Ville over at Mooresville.
Yeah, now he's at Mooresville. Just finished his football, about to finish football season, I think. And then he bonused his way through the state tournament 195 last year.
And then
go ahead and add in
Ronell Wilson
from Wake Forest,
runner-up. And then
Marcus Grist from New Bern.
And then
who was third last year. And then Parker Jones from Hickory Ridge, who got fourth last year. So
I think this is the deepest weight in the whole tournament.
If you're listening and you're one of those guys and you're like, I don't know, I might go a different way. No, go this way, please.
Please go this way.
Let's
this is the deepest
3 state champs in one weight. I don't remember the last time that happened in North Carolina. I'm going to go do some research and I'll pull that out.
I might backtrack and say this is my favorite weight of the whole tournament.
I
love 3A 152.
I liked 132. I like some of the weights from 3A and 1A, 2A.
3A 152.
126. But 3 state champs on weight, how can you not make it your favorite?
If I take away my bias, I have to go with 195 4A be my favorite.
It's going to be awesome.
Man, it's like this is probably, this could turn out to be, if we could look back in history, the toughest weight to ever win a state title out of.
It might be credential-wise.
Credential-wise.
Yeah.
I don't mean because there's been a lot of hammers that have been seeded first that we know no one's going to touch, and we have that in this tournament. That we have kids that are seeded first, they're ranked number one, that no one's going to touch them, and we know no one's going to touch them. But this weight has got state champ, runner-up, third, fourth.
Yeah, it's going to be
ridiculous.
It's going to be really good.
Yeah, that's going to be an amazing weight.
I almost want to say Cypher's a tier above, but Morrison 8 is super good too.
How can you say that when he got Sakari?
Yeah, and then Caleb Tate, I think,
has
gotten a little bit. He does football, and so does Sakari, but Caleb Tate does football and kind of doesn't do as many off-season stuff. Yeah. So he could be, man, the three of them right there. We'll see Morrison Tate, I think, pretty early in the season. Definitely going to be before state tournament. So
it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be great.
I'm circling that one. That is my favorite bracket of the whole tournament right there. I'm changing up. I'm switching
awesome, man.
3A 152. I love you. I can't wait to see that. But 4A 195 is going to be ridiculous. Let's roll on down up to 220.
220, 4A. I feel like we got four kind of guys that are at that top tier that could win it. You got Rylan Van, who got second at 220 as a sophomore last year. Not easy to do.
Yeah.
to be up at this weight and play the state final and be in the state finals. And then you got Josh George, who is a three-sport star. Speaking of which, like, he might be playing baseball and wrestling at the same time. I'm not sure. I know he's a good baseball player, and I know baseball is going to be happening at the same time as wrestling. So I hope there's some flexibility from the coaches at Southview to kind of let that happen.
Especially during this time.
He took third last year, but he beat Van at regionals, and they didn't meet the state tournament. So they lost to the same guy. Now, there's also this guy, Carson Floyd from Lake Norman. He got fourth at 170 last year. So he lost to Devin Bell in the fourth place match. But Carson Floyd has a win over Sakari Morrison this offseason. He beat him this offseason at the Super 32 area entry.
Yeah.
And now, yes, they're teammates now, so there might be a little familiarity being in the combat room, being in the Lake Norman room. Carson Floyd also beat Case Williams. He also beat a couple other guys. I'm forgetting right now.
Big for you to even say.
So Carson Floyd, he jumped on my radar, and he's only skyrocketed up the big boards, and I think very highly of him. I actually think, for me, I think he's going to win this weight.
Wow.
I think he's that good. And there's another guy to watch out for, though, which is Nathan Carnes from he's a sophomore from Porter Ridge. So he qualified as a freshman at 195 at 4A. Noticing, like, we're seeing a lot more freshmen qualify and placing at bigger weights, which is really cool.
Love to see it.
But so he's a guy, he actually beat Josh George recently. So those four guys are kind of at a tier on their own. It's going to be interesting to mix it up. I'm leaning towards Floyd based on his elite wins recently.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at.
That's going to be a tough one. I think that's a fun one. It's on 195, but it's fun.
Yeah.
You know,
it's still fun, though.
It is.
Let's step up to the big boys. 285. We got Marcus Harnan from Northwest Guilford.
Yeah.
He is a runner-up last year. He's the favorite. And then you got Emmanuel Bell from Laney, fourth. Now, a few episodes ago, we were talking about the Independent State Tournament, how I wished Hudson Jones would match up with a public school guy. Emmanuel Bell actually beat Hudson Jones recently. So that kind of gave me another run of, like, he's a state title contender.
A little more respect with him.
So he got fourth last year. Marcus got second. They're a tier together. We'll see what happens. Not sure who I'd pick on that one, but both guys, good wrestlers. We'll see.
Northwest Guilford is a
they're
quiet giant.
Yeah,
they're building, man. They really are.
Kerry Miller's alumni, so it's not like it's just a recent thing.
No, yeah, definitely. And so this is going to be an exciting state tournament. You know.
The team race is going to be so wild at 4A, and we talked a lot about it, right? We're like Mooresville this,
Lake Norman this, Laney this,
Laney this, like,
Northwest Guilford.
Yeah,
they've got kids that they've got what 4 or 5. I'll go back and fact check myself on this, but title contenders.
Yeah, good guys.
Not just guys that could place, but guys that we think can win it.
Yep.
And that's points.
Especially
and some of those guys,
especially if this year plays out with no wrestlebacks in the regional state.
And some of those guys have the opportunity and have the possibility, you know, and the potential to bonus their way through a tournament.
Yep.
And score some points. You know,
we can see Johnson doing that, like, for their team, right?
We'll see.
And Devin Bell for.
I'm excited.
So
it's going to be awesome.
A great season. I know it's a weird season, right? We're starting in April, going to end in June, and I know there's some guys that are. It's going to be interesting. We've heard of a couple guys that aren't going to be able to do the state tournament in the regional series because of prior commitments, whether it be college or
joining the military,
or whatever. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out where we're at. But it's going to be an awesome season for sure, man. I'm super excited. It gets kicked off tomorrow.
Can't wait.
Let's
Can't
do this
wait.
thing.
It's going to be opening day tomorrow.
Check out Village Recruiting. Shout out to Frank Smithwick, Carolina's Mat News. Catch us next week, guys.
We're out.